here. We'll have this Chiron here. Look at all these big board finals I got last year. We're hopping in the big board once again. It was a snap fill, so I'm already in a draft room. Let's get into it. A little taste of Jamar Chase today feels right. Picking in the one hole, very influential as I am here. Jamar Chase going 101. Yeah, so lots to catch up on, guys. Still in the same standstill with underdogs. That's why you haven't been getting as many streams here on the channel. But you're getting one today, so that's pretty cool, right? We got that going for ourselves. We're going to catch up on everything. I did also update, if you are a member of the VIP Discord, of course, the Splash Play family tier, you can now get all the rookie data, and I put in RAS numbers for everybody. So a lot of running backs tested extremely well. I'll spare you guys showing you my very boring Google Sheets, but you can check them out yourself if you are on the Splash Play Discord by joining down below. But a lot of guys tested well. A lot of guys as well, I think, have now tested in an area where I think they are wheels up, even at really aggressive ADPs. O'Marion Hampton, a guy that we've liked, I thought he was going to run in the 4.5s, which was not that far off. I didn't expect him to have a 9.6 RAS score, so or RAS number, I guess would be the better way to put that. For O'Marion Hampton, I thought top 50 is a little aggressive, but he is a guy who's going to step in, play 3 downs, has a big enough body to pass protect and do that reliably. I think he and Ashton Genty are a lot closer in terms of what I expect to be able to do in terms of being great players in year one. So those are 2 rookies I would take. A guy that I don't like very much, and frankly, 2 guys I'm not like really sold on, though I do like one of them more than the other. Quinshawn Judkins, Travion Henderson. I think both guys now fully wheels up as well. Quinshawn Judkins, a 9.9 RAS for him. He wasn't great at OSU with a 0.06 EPA per rush. Did have some outlier days. Also didn't miss tackles very much. 16% avoided tackle rate for him. Travion Henderson, a little bit better there with a 20% avoided tackle rate and a 0.23 EPA per rush. But these guys are now, I think, really locked into getting top 2 round draft capital. So these are guys I feel comfortable about. You had a lot of other guys testing pretty well. Even guys like Cam Scadaboo for the few drills he did tested well in the vert. He didn't run the 40 because he's probably not fast enough to do that. His size also didn't grade out well. But basically, guys like, let's go through here. Ollie Gordon, 8.2 RAS, not awful. RJ Harvey, an 8.4 RAS, not bad for a guy who was pretty efficient, even though he also, like many guys at RB in this class, didn't avoid enough tackles for us to feel pretty good. Let's see. Raheem Sanders, Rocket Sanders, 9.9 RAS for him. Another guy with only a 22% avoided tackle rate. So in the pros, you expect that to be closer to 10 to 15% range more so. Also only a 0.06 EPA per rush, not very good. Better in the pass game where he put up a 0.34 EPA and somehow avoided 75% tackles there. So not good with traditional run plays. Good catching the ball. Point being is, like, a lot of these guys tested well enough. I'll keep listing a few more. Damian Martinez, a 9.4 RAS, which shocked me. He is more of your bruiser back. Did a good job of it at Miami last year. Had a really solid 0.24 EPA per run. Also was only stuffed 8% of the time. And some guys I've liked before who fit that criteria. A Dwayne McBride type I've liked in previous years, but he was not a good enough athlete and definitely didn't play good enough competition at UAB. Martinez played some legit teams at Miami, and now you get athletic numbers that back it out for a guy who's not crazy fast. So I think he is in play in the later rounds. Donovan Edwards put up a 9.7 RAS, which shocked me as well because he really fell off a cliff in terms of how he played last year for Michigan. A lot for Michigan, I know, wasn't as good as it was in previous years. Obviously, with Harbaugh leaving, that's going to be the case. But Donovan Edwards really bad with a negative 0.14 EPA per rush last year. 13% avoided tackle rate would be one of the lowest in the class as well. But he had good RAS testing at a 9.7. DJ Giddens rounded up 9.8 for him in RAS. So 0.08 EPA per rush guy, also a pretty low 21% avoided tackle rate, but looks like a guy who athletically, besides that lack of shiftiness, in play again, and really not a good EPA guy either. 0.08 EPA per rush, negative 0.18 EPA per pass target thrown his way. So, but still, the RAS numbers means he probably gets drafted, I would say, top 4 rounds at the very least. God, who's more? Trevor Etienne, not a good number for him at 7.2. Jarquez Hunter, 8.04 for him. Not bad, but not enough to make me want to really reconsider him too much. But he does have at least a 25% avoided tackle rate for himself. And we're on the clock here. I'll make 2 picks. I will continue to pour through data just to catch up on everything because I know I owe you guys that. Nobody wants to take Tyreek Hill right now, and I am also in that same group. Nobody who's not me wants to take Bucky Irving. That's not true. People are taking Bucky Irving enough at this ADP that he's not falling. Bucky Irving is going to be one of my picks here. I added him with Jamar Chase. We could get the second half of Cincinnati. It does seem like T. Higgins is going to be here. Terry McLaurin, I'm okay in this spot. Really not enough value for Hill. Do you like Trey McBride? Do you like Garrett Wilson now for this year? But I'll go Higgins. I'll go the Cincy double. Feel like what we saw last year, I wasn't high enough on Cincinnati because I thought they were going to have kind of a chaotic year. They had that chaotic year, but the offense showed me everything I need to see to take the investment this year. So we're going Bucky. We're going T. Higgins. So a Bucky Irving, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins start. Our guy Brian here approves. That's all I can ask for. And people ask about Bindle's streaming schedule here. Yes, Bindle's hopefully doing some streams on the regular again this year. Spags it on the Jets this year. They're bringing in enough from Detroit that I think I have to be a little bit more. Yeah. The QB stuff I have questions about, but I like what Aaron Glenn is doing. I think, frankly, for the Jets, for Jacksonville, the fact that they're both kind of dumping players right away, overhauling the team right away to try to get the team immediately in those new coaches' image, I think is a good thing for the most part. I'm surprised for Aaron Glenn that he wasn't out there, trotting out Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams one more year, where you do the thing where it's like, okay, a great, genius defensively minded coach is coming in. I'll now get these guys, take a shot at a championship with them. And then when that fails, you could strip everything down and rebuild. Instead, the Jets are doing the rebuild now. So I think that's a positive. But I think, too, rebuilding around Garrett Wilson, rebuilding, with the OC who's got, Lions pedigree as well. I think the Lions guys that are getting hired this year are sort of your McVay tree guys, and they are technically, McVay tree or at least McVay adjacent. These guys are all going to, I think, do well for the offenses. And, that to me is one of the Jets. So we'll see how it goes. But Tyrod, though, not really a player to take. Can Strange be a top 12 tight end? I honestly wouldn't make that bet too much. He's free, so you could take him for free. But I think there's a chance they take Tyler Warren, and that would not be good for Brenton Strange. You got to remember, Liam Cohen's overhauling everything. The one thing that's going to be a constant is Brian Thomas getting used a lot. And besides that, again, Gabe Davis, because his contract is going to be in the mix, and that's that. But Parker Washington, he's probably not going to play full-time slot. He'll be a guy that gets in 3 wide receiver sets, but otherwise it's going to be Brian Thomas in the slot. And even then, you might get guys playing out wide with Thomas moving in the slot. They've been pretty clear about that. Pull up this chat because I wanted to read it. Don't assume anything with the remaining Jags besides Brian Thomas. Let's see. Number 1 rookie wide receiver in this class, or in this draft, is good as number 6 wide receiver last year. Why there's such a fever for these guys? Because people like new things. I mean, I have not. I think if you've watched the streams here, this is probably my 8th on stream draft of the year, something like that. I've been pretty clear about being cautious about most of the rookies here. I think take Genty at the turn. Omarion Hampton, I've taken some of, but I do think the top 60 price tag is a little bit high before we got the RAS numbers for him. I think in general, people just want the new shiny thing. And really the prices this year were more than accommodating these guys having the best possible landing spots, best possible RAS, all that stuff. And to me, you have to be great in year 1 to hit the field. And guys like Bucky Irving, I think it was a combo, and he did not have the RAS numbers to back it out. He was great in college. He landed in a situation where the team wanted a specific thing, and he really fulfilled that specific thing. They wanted guys to get yards after the contact, to avoid tackles more, because Rachaad White wasn't doing that. Bucky, they drafted perfectly, fitting that need that they had, and he got there. Jaden Daniels, another guy who obviously I was really in on, he landed a situation where he got to do, a pretty good version of what he did for himself in college. Wasn't all the way there, wasn't as vertical as I would like to see, but obviously he's probably more efficient as a result of that. He got a good situation, good landing spot. It worked out for him. Guys like Drake May, I had real critiques on Drake May's college numbers, and I didn't think he was going to be a year 1 success. He still spiked for fantasy, but he looked good enough in numbers. He looked better than most of the QBs you're going to have this year. So I think that's really the biggest issue is people just want to play guys every year that are new, and they hear about this RB class, and it's a really deep RB class in terms of guys that got a ton of volume in college, and we're okay with it. And that means you're probably going to get a bunch of pros who are okay as a pro. And I think if they have great athletic numbers, then they're more likely to stick as a pro. But it doesn't mean they're going to be ready to play year 1 or that they're going to get the draft capital to play year 1. If I think the guys that get draft capital RB, it's going to be Genty. Obviously, it's going to be Omarion Hampton, I think now. I think Quinshon Judkins is that next tier. I think Travion is that next tier. Conveniently, 2 teammates there. Besides that, I'm not really sold on who's going to go in that range. Devin Neal's not fast enough. Wasn't a bad RAS guy as an 8.6. But, he also didn't avoid a lot of tackles. The stickiest thing for you going from college to the pros is your avoided tackle rate. And all these guys in this class, for the most part, besides Genty and besides Hampton to a little, lesser extent, these guys are all not good of shifty runners. And I don't think that gets you on the field early on unless they get, top 2 round draft capital. All right, we have a 0-1-2-0 build. We're on the clock here. I do like Chuba Hubbard. You obviously have a chance of getting the Carolina-Tampa Bay game. Do you like O'Marion Hampton, as we talked about? Jamison Williams, I don't mind. We have a little bit of a discount on him. I'll take J-Mo here. I'm not crazy about him at this ADP. I do think Devontae Adams looks pretty good. And I think, man, this is a tough spot for me. I like Olave. Burrow with the double here would make sense. Hard to pass that up. Getting the Cincy double without Burrow would be unique, but let's just advance. I think let's, assuming that Cincinnati doesn't have any injuries and it doesn't fall apart with them being chiselers and cheap with everybody on the team, we'll go Joe Burrow here. So don't love the Burrow price tag. I don't think I could push him all the way back around the board in this room that seems willing to take QBs without any correlation. So Burrow, Bucky Irving, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Jamison Williams. Maybe should have gone Devontae Adams over J-Mo there, but the ADP discount on J-Mo is a little bit too much. Devontae, though, I do think gets a good free agent outcome. He was not dead in the water last year, even though felt like he should have been. Checking out some chats. We'll catch up on the rest of my data in a moment. Looking back on early drafts, really think the winner was drafted early. CLV, some of these already is insane. The main thing is like CLV is not overrated. You should be trying to get CLV. You should be trying to get ADP value and all of that. In reality, though, and frankly, what we saw last year, it's like it doesn't matter. And I don't want to be too nihilistic about best ball, especially in this time period where I'm doing a few less drafts. I mean, certainly less drafts than I was doing last year, going every day. And hopefully we'll still get back there. Just, seeing the process through as best I can. Point being is like, I really do feel like overall that some of these things that we worry about, it's like, oh, the winner's been drafted. No, it's all comes down to what the pod luck is. There's so many factors that aren't even in the air yet for these teams that you're going to have in a tournament that you can't say stuff like that. And there's really no reason to do it. And also, frankly, people have also overrated so many rookies in this class that they're going to have likely a lot of teams that are dragged down by the rookies that don't play. So I'm really not worried about that. Thoughts on Bo Nix, the higher ADP? I'm still think he's worth it. I mean, he ran less down the home stretch of last year, which does sort of cut if you're looking at his points production last year, but he was better as an overall QB, and they're going to add more weapons there. The tough part is that Denver defense did look better last year, and if it gets even better, in year 2 with the new DC there, could be something where they could, really make, strides on the run game and the defense, and that would take, some of Bo Nix's upside away. But like you have explosive weapons, you have Mims. I think Franklin in year 2 does a little bit more. You still have Cortland Sutton there. You maybe could even have a Devontae Adams if he doesn't get one of the more ideal landing spots for himself. So like there's going to be weapons there. He was good. Like, I don't know. And he really got better as the year went on. CLV is a social construct. I mean, look, it's one of those things where like you shouldn't reach for every player. Like you still shouldn't do that. You should still soak up value. You should try to do that. But in reality, like, oh, because somebody got Bayshul Tootin, like because they got him at 220 and now he's going at 160 and he still like might not actually play. Like that shit doesn't matter. It just really doesn't. And I get why guys like Herzig have been doing this and doing this well for so long. Like the more years I do it and the more you see your own sample size starts to accrue and you identify, the things that work for you. And like, this was my most profitable best ball year, even though I didn't have a BBM finalist like I had a couple of years ago. Like I feel really good about how this went. And there were still things that could have gone better. Like fucking Marshawn Lloyd really was a problem for across my portfolio. And really what you want to do every year, and people miss it, is like, you just want to take projectable players. And that can be rookies too. Like I think Jade Daniels last year, I felt like he was projectable. I defended that on the show. I thought that his true price should have probably been the 60s. Brock Bowers, I think we felt similarly here. I was a little sticker shy when he got into the 80s and 70s at one point in drafts, but like still was another player where it's like, I think that was projectable coming in. A lot of these rookies, I think Genty's projectable. I think Ted McMillan for the most part is projectable because he's going to get a top landing spot, even though I do think he is ducking all the speed testing and athletic testing because he's not that good of an athlete. Great receiver, great producer. I think he'll produce, but he's like not a great athlete, kind of like Marvin Harrison wasn't. And also hit that pretty well last year too. But I think that's sort of the main thing for me is like taking more projectable situations, taking guys too in free agency, like Devontae Adams, if he goes to, I don't know, goes to Cleveland and they have a new QB that looks good, he would probably come up. If he goes to the Niners and they get rid of Brandon Ayuk in a trade, he would absolutely come up. So like Devontae Adams is going a little bit lower than he probably would go because people just don't know where he's going to play next year. That's another part of it, but I don't know, man. I feel like I've really been, not in lockstep with the content I've seen this year. And I know by me not, frankly, just not getting paid to do streams every day so far, that like I'm not putting it out there enough, but like I think there's been a lot of mistakes made in the big board from the drafts I've seen. But that's, you know, I get it. It's enthusiasm. People just want to click new names ultimately. It was never a steal because like the thing is you still have to get the draft capital. And there was a chance, like again, he really wasn't that fast. He's just fast relative to his size, and really the short stuff, the cone drills and those kind of things helped him out a little bit more. But we'll talk more about these guys, the rookies, in a moment. All right, we have a 1-1-3-0 build here. One of my favorite clicks in this range has been Juwan Jennings, but he is not here. Judkins, I think, really did test well enough that I could take shots here, though he's not the most projectable. I'm comfortable with Ricky Pearsall with one of these picks. I think the Ayuk trade stuff doesn't make me feel great, but also I'm kind of cool taking Ayuk and Pearsall here because I'm getting a lot of Juwan Jennings. I think Juwan Jennings, if you're in the late 60s, is one of the best picks. I like Tyrone Tracy. I have real concerns the Giants bring in another back there because they can get somebody who's legit and probably as good as Tracy was in college, you know, in the 4th round this year and with better RAS testing numbers as well. I think like that's a possibility. So I'm not crazy about Tracy. Judkins, I'm trying to get on board with more, but I think he's overpriced. Hampton, the fear though was that like he would be slow, and he really wasn't that fast here. And if he was a little bit slower and the RAS wasn't quite as good, you're talking about a guy that could have been like a 3rd round pick and been more in the Audric estimate tier, which would not have been good. So I don't like, I know you want to confirm your priors. Everybody always does, me included, but really like it's better, I think, to exercise caution when you have potential red flags for guys. So that's how I feel about it. Let's see. Talking 90 picks at QB in terms of ADP discounts. Tyreek and Marv in the 50s. I haven't seen Tyreek in the 50s. He's still got a 21 ADP on him. Still don't think it matters that much. Got to be real with you. Because you still need all those players that you're mentioning specifically to come together in the one team and then also be good enough throughout the season and in the playoffs. There's too many variables in best ball. People get so precious about this stuff. And again, as a content creator, people, you know, need things to talk about. So whatever, you got to do that. But like really just don't try to be less precious about your teams. I think it'd be the one thing, or just worrying about somebody else having the winner. Because yes, somebody could have the winner. More likely, it's going to be some random bullshit that comes together that nobody saw coming. And frankly, probably includes players that suck for most of the year that then hit their stride at the right time. That's what best ball fundamentally is. Other RBs to talk about here, because there's too many. Bashal Tootin here, who I think I'm saying right now. I've actually watched. So it's a funny thing, if you watch Tootin highlights, every commentator is like, Tootin. Nobody says his first name because they don't want to get it wrong. But a few times in a video, you'll hear it. I'm still not impressed by Tootin that much. He does have the best avoided tackle rate in the class at 34%. That is something I look for. Stuff runs at 22% really doesn't do a lot for me, but a 9.3 RAS, he's probably now top 3 rounds to early 4th round guy, I think, more reliably. He was awful in the pass game too, a negative 0.38 EPA per target. So like he's one of those guys as well. It's coming up 50 spots in ADP. I'm still not sold that he actually matters. I don't think he's like a gimmicky, you know, runner like we talked about last year with Jalen Wright in that Tennessee offense. What is going on in QB corner here? Jesus. There's a lot of QBs on the board here. Aggressive QB selection. I'm in a different tab and I just see a purple corner coming up, like Grimace rising from the ashes. I would say though, for, you know, Tootin, I'm just still not sold. And I said that in the VIP Discord the moment that his RAS came out. I see the avoided tackle rate stuff. You can't get stuffed that much and be shitty in the pass game and somehow not avoid tackles in the pass game. Like he's not really that great of a prospect. Who else do we have to highlight in terms of RAS? Woody Marks, who I've never liked. People ask me because he was a USC guy. He didn't play that well at USC. Just got volume. 7.2 RAS for him. So with him not really showing a whole lot else, only a 12% avoided tackle rate in college. He's just not a dude to me. Brashard Smith, 7.1 RAS, 15% avoided tackle rate. Not really a dude to me. Jordan James looks okay in terms of EPA, 0.17 EPA per rush, 0.14 EPA per pass. But the 6.1 RAS, you're talking about he's in Bucky territory, but on the field doesn't show Bucky traits. So I think Jordan James, not really a guy. Taj Brooks, another guy who had an 8.3 RAS. He got 29 intended touches a game in college, but wasn't great with it. It's not a bad RAS, but I don't know that Taj Brooks gets you enough draft capital to matter. Corey Kiner, awful RAS. Kyle Monin guy, awful RAS. That's that. Wide receivers. All right, so not a lot of wide receivers tested, but I'm on the clock here, so I should probably make a pick. That round went fast. Jalen Warren here. I love that for RB2. Jalen Warren, one of your Pittsburgh starters, will probably add somebody else with him, would be my guess. And Brock Purdy here makes sense. How's the room doing on QB? These guys need QBs. Oh, can we live with a Bucky Jalen Warren top 2? I feel like we can. And I just take Purdy here. Love Baker Mayfield too. Sometimes I take him at this point and just stack him up with Ott and Late, even though there's no other real legit Tampa Bay receivers. But we're going to go with 2 good QBs. A Burrow, Brock Purdy QB start here. A little bit heavy on draft capital at QB. RB, we definitely did make it up here with Bucky Irving and Jalen Warren. Receiver, we've got 2 Niner stacks. I think we're hoping Ayuk stays in the team now. With Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, JMO, Detroit, of course, Ricky Pearsall, and Brandon Ayuk. I think we're hitting a good build so far. I built some teams on the big board last night just to make sure, because I always want to hop on stream knowing kind of where ADPs are and what people are doing in rooms. And I built some really sick teams last night. I think the pockets are working pretty well right now. So that's that. Doing a second draft today? Possibly. I think probably, but we'll see. Bowers going to Indy would have been bad. I stand by that. I would agree with that too. I mean, honestly, Ty Warren going to Indy right now, I probably wouldn't be too stoked on. All right, so wide receivers. Talk about the RBs here. Guys, I was really surprised by Torrey Horton. So Torrey Horton had no athletic testing numbers out there, no 40 time. He's also had multiple knee injuries, stopped playing this year because he got hurt again. And, you know, they just at that point, I guess, was like, I need to prepare for my NFL career because I don't think he had any eligibility left. He put up a 9.7 RAS. So Torrey Horton now, 20th rounder. And then you take the shot here because he's a freak athletic profile. And I know last year he did have some decent numbers. I think he was also at Colorado State last year. Guys who didn't do anything or didn't do the full RAS, Ted McMillan didn't do anything. Luther Burden ran the 4.42 40, so I think he is now in play. Still was not a great target earner at 28%. Okay, but not great. Still really had a great avoided tackle rate at 59%, but wasn't a high EPA guy, 0.34 EPA there. Had to play primarily out of the slot, really couldn't play out wide. I think Burden is still coming with more risk than the ADP has. Mika Buka didn't do anything either. Still expect him to run in the 4.3s in his pro day. Jalen Royals a little bit slower than I wanted to see at a 4.42, but still a 9.3 RAS for him. So another late round guy, I think, is wheels up, who had more actualized yards than air yards in college, which is one thing I've observed as a trait that tends to correlate a lot with the players performing well year to year and their first year hitting the ground running. So Jalen Royals to me, another guy here, sneaky value. Trey Harris, I was shocked at a 4.54 40. He still put up a 9.1 RAS. So really good news for him. Our guy historical anomalies before the show. I was actually part of why, well, I wasn't late. I was a little thrown by the hot start for the draft because I was watching a clip of, the Yahoo Sports guys, Nate Tyson, Charles McDonald. I still have it up here, so I'm reading their names. Talking about Jackson Dart, why they're not big in him. Awful argument made by them for why they're not in on Jackson Dart. Like they're like, oh, Lane Kiffin sometimes throws 80-yard touchdown plays that don't happen very often. So really strong historical anomalies. First of all, strongly disagree with their takes. I think they're really bad takes where they're just about Charles McDonald watched him during the year. Apparently didn't look at his stats. I didn't realize he was actually playing out of his fucking mind. Which people don't do in college football, I've noticed. They never check stats during the year, never check advanced analytics during the year. And that's why when I hop into shit, I'm like, why does nobody talk about Jackson Dart? He had one of the fucking best years of QBs that we've seen. And I've watched enough of Ole Miss now in retrospect. I know Adam might disagree a little bit. It's just not like, it's not video game bullshit. It's like aggressive downfield offense for the most part. But I just think that's the play style. And that's what Jackson Dart is. If I had to guess, maybe not enough under center, a lot of shotgun. That's fucking every coach is what they're calling in college anyway. Anyway, back to this. So Trey Harris, I think I was shocked by the numbers. I think for me, it is a Trey Franklin-esque wheels up for him. I just think he's really fucking good. His numbers grade out so well. 0.54 EPA per target last year. He's great. We're on the clock. I'll get back to receivers in a moment. 2250 here. We do need a tight end, and we got a discount on Njoku, so he's going to be one of these clicks. Cam Scadaboo giving me more hope at this point that he can be a legit player. He's probably one of the better analytic RBs in the class. Trey Harris, Keenan Allen, I think it's a good landing spot. Diggs is still way too high for a guy coming off an ACL tear who is also old. Tucker Kraft would not be a bad second tight end here. Man, this is tough. I'm going to take the shot on Scadaboo. I think Scadaboo, I was floored by his vert testing. Again, size not good. He also is apparently getting sued by one of his former teammates because he jumped on the back of a golf cart and broke the golf cart and the guy tore his triceps and it ended his football career. I haven't taken a lot of Scattaboo. In fact, for Suss's question here, in part because I think Tank Bigsby in this range is good. I do worry Tank is one of the babies getting thrown out with the bathwater of the Jags overhaul, but that's that for right now. Oh, no, I get it. I'm saying Troy Franklin as my, like, just so you guys are aware, this guy looks too good for me to not take cracks at him. But Trey Harris, to me, I think is worth it. And he has a better RAS profile than Troy Franklin had last year. The rest of the receivers who did test, Alik Ayumanor, 9.7 RAS. He was always expected to be a pretty good athlete. The big issue is at Stanford last year, got 137 air yards per game, turned him into 69. So nice number normally, not when you need double the air yards to put up those 69 receiving yards. Also, 0.07 EPA per target was just awful. Good enough athlete, though, where he's probably getting you 3rd to 4th round draft capital. He kind of feels semi based on the numbers. And really the film, he looks like Michael Wilson. And I feel like this is a little bit of a mental cognitive bias thing I have where players at the same college, I think the guy looks similar. And I'm like, it's fucking same guy. He looks like Michael Wilson. He's a better athlete than Michael Wilson. I think, though, for him, he's such a good athlete that you can take the shots here. My concern, though, is that he's more actually of an Andre Yoshevich. Like, I just think he's a good athlete, but I don't know he's like a football player. So didn't command targets that well at Stanford. It's not like they had better options. So Ayumanor, though, great RAS. He is now draftable. The one guy you want to keep an eye on late now, Ty Felton. Ty Felton had a monster combine, 4.3840, 9.6 RAS. He commanded targets at a 34% per route run rate last year. So he was great. EPA was not good, but he played at Maryland, 0.22 EPA per target. Downfield, he wasn't great either, only a 0.009 EPA on throws of 20-plus air yards. So he didn't do great, but he's got good size, 6'2", I believe. I don't know what he actually measured at the combine, but I have his height listed here from his initial profile, 6'2", about 190 pounds, I guess 185. So Felton, I think, another guy going for free. I took him in the 20th round last night. I think you take him in that 20th round. Who else tested? Deion Burks didn't. Restrepo didn't. Restrepo absolutely hiding the fact that he's slow. Kyron Lacey didn't. Pat Bryant didn't test too well, but was okay at an 8.2 RAS. 4.640, though. Pat Bryant, I know some people out there like. He's really efficient at Illinois, but didn't command targets. Only a 26.5% rate. I think Pat Bryant, not really a play. Jaden Higgins. Jaden Higgins at 9.9 RAS. So he is officially no longer Xavier Hutchinson, another Iowa State receiver who produced kind of similarly. Higgins, 32% target per out run, 0.38 EPA per target. Did fail the air yards test. Got 130 air yards a game. It's only produced 91 actual yards. But at a 9.9 RAS and a 4.47 40, I think Higgins is now a legit kind of 3rd round guy, boundary receiver for somebody out there. If he goes to the Giants with Cam Ward, that's where you start to get really interesting for Jaden Higgins. But Higgins, I think, draftable enough. Jack Besh. This one shocked me because he only put up a 4.55 40, still a 9.5 RAS for Jack Besh. As we talked about with Jack Besh, he's not the athlete, not the body build guy of his teammate Savion Williams, but he is still a guy who produces only a 25% target per out run, but a 0.67 EPA per target at TCU last year to be the highest of everybody in this class. Number 2 would be the aforementioned Trey Harris. Point being, though, for Jack Besh, I'm shocked that he's a good athlete, really. But he's good at the Senior Bowl. I think he'll get decent draft capital. Still, to me, feels like a 3rd round guy, 4th round guy, more than a 2nd. But he'll produce. He'll get into space. He'll do good stuff. Dallas Goedert's still here, so we're now able to soak up some tight end value. The pocket's feeling pretty good. I am going to go Dallas Goedert's way. I don't mind Rachaad White with Bucky because I do think that that's a situation where they're going to hit in different ways. And it does seem like Tampa Bay is committed to keeping Rachaad White in the mix, even though it really feels like Sean Tucker should get some more work. I'm going to go Rachaad White here. Some contingent value as well. If we had Bucky Irving out, Rachaad White's probably going in where he was last year at the very least. So Rachaad White is it. Let's give this team a read, and I'll catch up on chats. 2-4-5-2 here for Joe Burrow. Brock Purdy as my QB is feeling really good at QB. Bucky Irving, Jalen Warren, Cam Scattaboo, Rachaad White. Top 3 RBs definitely have a vibe. High avoided tackle rate guys that are maybe not the greatest athletes in the world on paper. And Rachaad White is the guy who's probably too cheap is really the main thing. Don't think he gets moved. Not the way the coach speaks stuff. I know Tyler, our pal Emo Cowboy, follows the coach speak stuff more than anything, but like they have spoke well enough of Rachaad White, and I think at the very least he's still contingent value, but again, it's a draft class where you could bring in an upgrade. You could also, frankly, bring in a Nick Chubb if you wanted to for them, just give him power back. But I don't know. I don't know why you would, but they could do something like that. Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Jamison Williams, Ricky Pearsall, Brandon Ayuk are a receiving core right now. So Bengals double, Niners double. I feel good about those. And then Njoku and Dallas Goedert, not tight ends I love, but 12 picks of ADP value on Njoku, almost 18 picks of ADP value on Dallas Goedert. I like that team. White gets a ton of talk, but he's replaceable. I agree he's replaceable. I just don't think the coaching staff talks about him like he's replaceable or like they're expecting to replace him. Last year, they really talked directly about wanting to supplement him with a guy who does the things he didn't do. I just haven't seen that personally myself, but maybe somebody else has. Other wide receivers to highlight. So Higgins, again, really got to plant a little bit of a flag for him because he did stand out. Jack Besh shocked me too. Tez Johnson, way slower than anybody had him reported at. 4.5, 140, not good. Still did well in that Oregon offense, but he is small, only a 7.7 RAS, which frankly could have been worse with how slow he is. Tez Johnson, to me, I just don't think really looks that great. Ricky White, awful RAS. He was never really a pick. He was just kind of padding stats at a shitty school with a 38% target route run. But 6.2 RAS, you should put that buried if you ever were taking him. Jalen Noel, 9.7 RAS, 4.3940 in play. A decent target earner at 28%, for where he's going to get drafted at. 0.23 EPA per target, not great. 110 air yards a game to produce 85 actual yards, not great. But he's draftable. Jalen Noel, that is. Kobe Hudson, awful RAS, awful 40 time, not a good producer, would not draft him if you're ever going to. And Chimere DK, unless it's Dyke, I presume it's DK. Chimere DK, Florida guy, 9.7 RAS, 4.3540. Not a great target earner, but if you squint your eyes, kind of looks like his teammate Ricky Pearsall, where he's a freak athlete with a not terrible EPA, even though Pearsall's was better. So DK, I think, technically draftable, even though he's probably not really going to matter. Liam Cohen and current staff seem to love and trust White. Yeah, I think, from what they did promoting within, and that's one thing too for coaches. And I've been meaning to write it up for the Discord because I want to put a channel where I'm just kind of dumping longer form thoughts, frankly, for myself to kind of keep my head aligned. And I want to go through a run of offensive coordinators and stuff and how I expect them to influence things. For a lot of teams, though, historically, when they promote from internally, I tend to think they carry the exact same principles over as the previous guys. So I think the fact that Liam Cohen and Todd Bowles defended Rachaad White, I think the guy that they promoted internally is going to do the same thing this year. I forget who the Bucs OC is. I need to get my head wrapped around all the new guys. Josh Grizzard, that's it. Grizzard. I need a mnemonic device for all the new hires because this year it's a lot of turnover. It's legit, coaches who haven't been hired in those roles before. So thank God. If they like Tucker more, there's probably teams that would have an interest in Rachaad. Sure. I mean, look, he's been a reliable back. He's really more the Mixon kind of back, but he's unfortunately, he doesn't fuck up egregiously. He doesn't fumble a ton. He's just not efficient, but that is what it is. 2-4-5-2 build here. Interesting pocket. Garendo at this point, really more a contingent value play for the Niners. We could live with that. Jaden Higgins with the freak athletic profile. I think that's where we're going to go. Do you like Alec Pierce? Think that he's okay as well. We needed a 6th receiver, so we have a 2-4-6-2. We've got this Niners bet. I guess going into Garendo would not be crazy. If I wanted to take a 3rd tight end, Freiermuth. Does Justin Fields go back there? I don't know that it matters that much. Hunter Henry, I do like here. I'm going to take Garendo, though. We've got the Niners bet. Garendo, I think, could still get some touches next year to supplement McCaffrey more because you do want to make sure you're keeping McCaffrey healthy after what this year was. So you get a shot here for him to count. Jalen Royals goes. Unfortunately, we just can't pick everybody. And I've got enough Jalen Royals at this point. I would like to make it up on Higgins, who I haven't taken in this range very much. Let's give the team a read here. Then we'll hop back to what we talk about here. I think I have to talk about tight ends still. We got a QB. We have Joe Burrow and Brock Purdy. So reached a little bit for Burrow because we had the double stacks. Kind of had to do it. We got Bucky Irving. We got Jalen Warren, Cam Scadaboo, Rachaad White, Isaac Garendo. We got Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Jamison Williams, Ricky Pearsall, Brandon Ayuk, Jalen Higgins at wide receiver, and David Njoku and Dallas Goedert at tight end. So I like this team. I think we have our double stacks. I think we need a little more receiver to kind of not be as dependent on these two teams going off in the pass game every single week. But frankly, with how shitty Cincinnati's defense was last year and the fact they're going to be losing guys, I don't know, they get better. Niners D also capped out, losing some guys. They might not be getting better either. So maybe we can live with that. Who was saying, just to correct me here, didn't run the 40 at the combine, double check. He did everything else well, though. So, yeah, he did all the other things to get an RAS. I pulled all the 40 time estimates initially, so I didn't update which were confirmed and which weren't, which I guess is something I'd work on for future times. But, yeah, so fair enough. Jack Best did not run the 40. He was listed before as having a 4.55 40, but I feel like he might have ran it at the Senior Bowl and ran around that range, but I could be wrong about that. Either way, though, if you look up Jack Best, most sites like Draft Buzz and whatever, list them as a 4.55. So that's receiver. Tight end. Not a lot of tight ends competed. The one I do want to highlight, so Harold Fannin, not a bad 7.8 RAS. Fannin, I'm still worried about. His ADP is coming down. He's super cheap, so I think you take your shots. Because Harold Fannin, as we've talked about on stream before, an elite college producer, 40% target per out run, 0.49 EPA at his volume, turned 85 air yards a game into 119 actualized yards. So really big conversion rate there. The issue is like he's just not fast enough and he's not athletic enough. And he did it at Bowling Green. So like you look then at the competition, it's like, yeah, he beasted, kind of shittier level of competition, but he's not a good enough athlete maybe to do the same thing in the pros. He's a unique enough weapon. I think you're more likely, and enough people have made this take, to get like, rookie year Isaiah Likely kind of production from him. But I still think he's worth a pick, late rounds. If it's after the legit guys, like your Zach Ertz's, your, Mike Gesicki's, those guys who like kind of have a role are gone. I think you take Fannin there. But just not a great RAS, but could have been worse. Terrence Ferguson, though, beast RAS, 9.8 RAS number for him. He had a 0.47 EPA per target at Oregon last year, 28% target per out run. I think Terrence Ferguson is sort of, to me, numerically looks like an actual producing Theo Johnson, one of the best, athletic performances ever at the combine last year. Terrence Ferguson, not that far off. And, he didn't get enough volume to feel like super confident in it, but good targets when he was out there and freak athlete. That to me seems like Terrence Ferguson time to shine. Jack Best, Jackson Dart go in this draft. Jackson Dart, we can talk about more in a moment. 2562 here. Yoshevich hanging around. I don't really want to get overly reliant on Cincinnati at this point. The aforementioned Michael Wilson. I like Damian Martinez. I still don't know that he gets enough draft capital. I take a lot of Nick Chubb here. Damian Martinez getting an athletic testing that was good kind of surprised me because I thought he would just be like big bull, not fast. I take so much late Troy Franklin. Savion Williams commanded targets at TCU, but wasn't good with them. You probably shouldn't be this far behind Jack Best, though. Like Ertz. Oh, this is a tough spot, man. I like these players. I can't keep taking Troy Franklin, but I'm going to take Troy Franklin. I gotta stop taking Troy Franklin in round 17 and 18 and whatever, but he owes me. He owes me money from last year, and he fucking started to spike. He had a 50-yard touchdown in the playoffs. That matters. 2672 build here. Joe Burrow, Brock Purdy. Maybe we'll get Cincinnati, Denver in week 17 again. Bucky Irving, Jalen Warren, Cam Scattaboo, Rashad White, Isaac Garendo, Damian Martinez. A little bit light in the back half here, but I feel more comfortable at these guys. Seeing Scattaboo can at least jump gives me some hope. Jamar Chase, he was never really worth that ADP, though. Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Jamison Williams, Ricky Pearsall, Brandon Ayuk, Jaden Higgins, our RAS star at the combine, and Troy Franklin. And at a tight end, David Njoku, Dallas Goedert. So feeling pretty good about the team. I think we need a third tight end. I think there'll be some logical ones coming up later. So we'll see what we get. Let's see. Don't like Tucker as much if you read their press conferences. There you go. That seems about right. I feel like I saw that from Coach Speak as well. There was a Matthew Berry thing about Sean Tucker that was interesting, but probably nothing. I don't even know what you're talking about. All right. Anybody else at tight end? Gunnar Helm, awful RAS, but he twisted his ankle running the 40, so maybe give him some grace. Gunnar Helm, very high EPA with a 0.61 EPA per target, but had targets at about a 22% rate, which is awful for a tight end. He could basically not exist in the pros. Jake Brenningstool had a 6.3 RAS, not good enough. Tight ends just didn't do anything. Tyler Warren. It's one of my least favorite things about the combine now is that guys, don't compete, not to be the boomers. Like, you got to be out there competing because I get it. But like these guys are now absolutely PRing their athletic profiles a little bit more where like they don't want to absorb too much risk if you're already going to be guaranteed a top 10 pick kind of thing. I'm not gonna get it. Like Ted McMillan would go out there and he'd be slow, and like maybe the RS would look better with his 3-cone and whatever, his broad jump. Who fucking knows? But like these guys aren't doing the testing because they know they're not going to look good and they're trying to protect where they are. So like I get it, but not fun. All right, guys, if you're watching this video too, again, we're trying to get in a regular cadence here. I like Fridays, so I might keep the Friday date for now while we wait to see if we're going to be adding some more dates on here. But please subscribe down below, hit the like button, leave a comment. All goes a long way for me here. Again, I'm just one guy running 2 channels, keeping up with 2 sports. It's hard with the NBA and NFL this time of year where the information starts to flow, but I think I do it better than anybody else out there, and I hope you'll agree if you stick around here, subscribe, hit the like button. And check out Stochastic, check out Unabated here. Can't promote Underdog, so I will catch you guys up briefly on the Underdog thing. So basically, and I'm just going to be real about it, I had to wait a month for them to follow up with me the first time. Then they followed up like a day before my deal is due to expire, offering the exact same deal as last year. And I'm like, I can't do that. And then no replies since. I tried somebody else on the team there to be like, hey, like, what are we doing here? It's really frustrating for me. I know it's frustrating for you guys. I've seen some of the comments. It's not my fave because I do feel like, from what I've gathered, I feel like some of you guys feel like I'm like abandoning you by not giving you like the takes, even though I'm giving them on Discord every day if you want to keep up there. But I have to like not negotiate against myself. And I also frankly have to make money off of what I'm doing, and just YouTube alone doesn't do it. So if Underdog isn't going to subsidize it, what I'm probably going to try to do is pitch some other partners and then still do Underdog, but probably talk about some other stuff as well. So that's the plan right now, but I'm trying to give Underdog a chance to get it right. And I know from friends around the industry, I'm not alone in sort of it being, a tough thing. But I know people are like losing sympathy for me on it. It's like, look, this is unfortunately, like I have to negotiate as best I can. And like the way to negotiate is to not give away the cow for free, give away the milk for free, and I've been kind of doing that for 3 years. Like I took lesser deals because I'm like, I love Underdog. I want to do this stuff. And now it's like I did what they asked me last year. And then the partnership person I had left. And now, kind of deal with it. So it's been not fun for me, just for the record. But I got a couple like snippy comments. I'm just going to say it here in the middle of the show. Not a big deal. I know there's been a few downvotes lately from people too, more than usual. And I think it's not because I'm doing shitty content. So, that's the take right now. But that's it. Thank you, Charlie. I appreciate it. I'm trying to. Look, I wish we had a fully self-sustaining economy. Like, I would love if we had, and not to put the pressure on you guys, like, would love if we had 1,000 people that just paid for the Discord and we're on it. Like the Deposit Kingdom has 4,000 people on there. It really gives you a buffer to be able to kind of say no to stuff. But for me, it's like I get paid a certain rate per stream by everybody else. So why would the company that I do the most for not hit that number unless they just don't value me? So if they don't value me, then I'll find another way to be valued appropriately, is it. But, still going to do the content. I'm still doing drafts. I'm still fucking almost, I think, 25 drafts deep in now. I'll get to the same number as I was at last year. 2672 build here. I really feel like we're drafting mostly out of luxury at this point. I still think, at this point, fucking just take Yoshivas, right? He's free. 30 picks after ADP. Fine. I'm not like stoked about it or anything, but we do have a pretty competent QB. Gesicki already got drafted. Gesicki could get displaced in free agency if there are too many tight ends willing to play ball there, including Evan Ingram, who could maybe do the same thing that Gesicki does a little bit better for the same price tag. Would like a third tight end here. I think we just going to take guys that I think are starting to move up a little. So Terrence Ferguson here, one of the last rounds. Don't know that we want to take an unprojectable tight end when our starting tight ends are Njoku and Goddard, but like those guys are going to play. So I feel okay about taking Ferguson, taking a shot at him here. We got one more round left. We got Joe Burrow and Brock Purdy here at QB. Bucky Irving, Jalen Warren, Cam Scadaboo, Rashad White, Isaac Guerrero, and Damian Martinez. At wide receiver, we have Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Jamison Williams, Ricky Pearsall, Brandon Ayuk, Jaden Higgins, Troy Franklin, Andre Yoshivas. And at tight end, David Njoku, Dallas Goedert, and Terrence Ferguson. I like the texture of this team. I like that I'm able to a little more confidently take shots on rookies, kind of fleshing out their profiles more. Still think they absorb a lot of risk for not getting enough, good enough draft capital, but I think we're okay here. She brings Zelensky in and yell at him. Those negotiations, thank you. Scottaboo saying he's fast and not running the 40 is funny. Well, he's hurt, I think is why. He's not hurt enough to, he can jump 40 inches, but he can't run the 40. Film over combine stats. You want a mix of everything. To me, analytic, like EPA stuff, the Sports Info Solutions data I pay for, they took some slings and arrows because they bashed fantasy points on Twitter recently. And I'm obviously, I like both companies, so fucking keep that away from me. But I think that's really your should be your Bible if you can. And that's why I do show you guys some of the core data there in SIS. If you are in the Discord, check the NFL or the data sheets channel on there. If you do join, check it out, because that's all the rookie data I have: QBs, RBs, wide receivers, tight ends. I'm trying to make it a living document, so some of the data updates. So you're the best at what you do. Thank you for that. Underdog will come around. You still do you do. I appreciate that. It's very nice to hear. It's just one of those things where it's like, I feel like I'm letting people down, and I can tell from, frankly, some of the comments that people feel let down about it. It's like, I'm sorry. Like, I'm not trying to not give you an edge. I'm not trying to keep edge for myself, because I just like talking about the things I see and, basically fact checking it against the wisdom of the crowds of all you guys out there who pay attention and are willing to call me out if you think something I'm doing is wrong. But it's just unfortunately a lot of priorities shift for companies, I guess. And I don't know. But, keep fighting the good fight here. And NBA, of course, every day, no matter what, because I got a good partner for NBA, Unabated. So do check out Unabated too, please. Unabated, 20% off, link down below. You want to win 40 grand in betting, just bet 30 minutes for a tip off every day. And that's like the no bullshit pitch for Unabated. They backtest their data. Great tool. And Stochastic, 15% off. Actually, I have a meeting with them on Monday about my affiliate stuff with them. So check them out too. Want to play some DFS? Whatevs. They got it all. Thank you, Bendels. I appreciate it. Have to listen to Matic. It said Davis does great work, man. Davis is definitely running the risk of oversaturating things a little bit, I would say. But he does great work. He shows up every day. It's honestly, I will say, and as having been in similar shoes last year, it's easy to do it year one. Year two is where you start to get a little like, all right. But, it all comes down to like, is somebody paying you what you're worth? And to be real with you guys, like to be the realist to real with you guys, I don't know if it pays some people. I don't know if Davis specifically, so don't quote me on it. Don't go like, hey, Davis, I hear you're making this much. They pay some people $5 grand a month. They pay some people 10 grand a month. They pay some people even more than that, 7 figures. So, I'm not asking for that. I'm asking for enough to be a part of what I'm doing. And, but you guys should know the biz. Like, that's what happens. That's why some people promote and can do that. I want to do that. I want to whore. Why don't people let me whore? Nobody ever wants to let old Spags whore around. We got one more pick here. And honestly, it's a fucking wide open draft right now. So 10 spots available in our next draft. If you want to get in now, come draft with me on Underdog, even though they fucking say I don't make people gamble enough. Sorry, that's the acid coming out a little bit here. We got Justice Hill. Tyler Higbee could be a 4th tight end. And I do like Higbee still coming back to the Rams. Eric All is going to be done for the Bengals, so we're not going to take another Bengals partner. Receiver, we could also take Felton. No, Felt. No. Did we get Higbee in? Who did it take? Who did it take? What happened? The clock ran out and it didn't. What happened there? All right, who's our last player? Justice Hill. It timed out on Justice Hill. I can live with that. I think he keeps his role in Baltimore. I think at least a good shot of it. All right, next draft here. Fill the room, guys. Legit, they also my promo code for Underdog doesn't even work anymore. I think it automatically ends when your contract term ends. So it's a really funny deal right now. The point being, I get no upside for promoting Underdog at this moment in time. So please join this draft with me and gamble on their platform. I'll wait. Funny bit by Davis of the insurance thing. I have to give him credit for that. He's made it like a silly bit. Because like to me, the thing is still like I think I have to do really hard work to give you guys some form of edge every day. And Davis just like, he's now doing the bit like, I'm a fucking idiot. I don't know it. Whoa. So he could just show up and not have to do any extra work than he would have to do normally. He's got it locked down. I really admire what Davis has done in his run. And I wish I were that smart and aggressive at it. I think part of it too was last year was doing the probably stuff. So I kind of had to keep my time balanced, but anyway, shout out Davis. Davis' channel. Worth checking out. Don't check him out when he's competing with me. Watch him after the fact. He gets enough fucking views, but guy is grinding. And you guys know me. I respect the grind as much as anybody. It's time for my OnlyFans. I mean, that's really what the Discord is. But again, the sexy nudes, I don't think would actually help very much. One more spot left in this draft. If you want to draft with me, just don't be one of the weirdos, Yeah, that's what we ask about. Anyway, anything else you guys want to ask me? Get it out while well, the vault is open here. Please feel free. But guys, hit the like button, subscribe again. I really do genuinely believe with the content I do, I'm like the realest. I'm the realest motherfucker in this space. And it's not, sometimes to my detriment where like I I don't like telling you guys every player's good because I don't think every player's good. I also like telling you too much that best ball is all fucking whimsy. You just got to throw your cards in the air and hope they land the bowl. But look, I'm always going to tell you how it fucking is here on this channel. And that's no matter who's paying me or not paying me. So please do hit the like button. Please subscribe. It goes a long way. And I appreciate nothing else that you guys, at least in the chat, you guys get it. I just don't want to make every stream about it because it's been fucking like I'm an anxious person. It's like really taking a lot of my brain power lately. And, you know, that's not my fave. So hard not to be a weirdo. So nice he typed it twice. Only Spags. My feet are big. I'll give you guys my feet for free. You can see my fucking big monstrous feet. Here, we'll go full screen for Spags' feet. Here you go. Here's the taste. Oh, shorts too. These big fucking Flintstone feet. They're clean though. They're clean. I hope that got somebody off out there. Was in on Bucky last year, but his RES was horrible. Why were you on him? Because he avoided tackles and was a plus EPA rusher. So that's really it. There you go. Somebody out there needed it. Spurious News going to support my foot endeavors. But yeah, it's really just he was a great player, and that's the whole thing. So like I don't, you know, like to me, that's always going to be the most important thing is the guy a great player? Did he produce? Did he do the things that I value? And he did them. So that's that. Flip that. There we go. Ripper. I don't even know what that is. Yeah, my feet off the screen. To be clear, they weren't touching the screen. They might have touched my mic a little bit, so I probably shouldn't lick the mic. But there we go. You'll pay me not. Look, I have nice feet. Like my feet are fine. No issues with my feet. Nobody was as bad as Bucky was last year, so not really. Honestly, all the guys that I thought like that I've liked this year tested better than I would thought. Like Marion Hampton was one I was really worried about. Trey Harris, I was also really worried about. He was fine. I hate CeeDee Lamb at this price tag still. I like Puka Bowers at this price tag. Simple as that. CeeDee Lamb to me, 1-2 turn guy. I'm just not going to take the risk on this Dallas team that, number one, don't like Schottenheimer as a coach. Whenever he's had an opportunity to call plays, it's been terrible. Number two, fucking Jerry Jones is like, yeah, we're not even going to spend in free agency. Like they are now just cashing in on being Disneyland is what I feel like is legitimately the case. And some of the Dallas beat reporters have kind of talked around that. They're not like trying to field the competitive football team now. They just want to make money off Cowboys endeavors. I don't get what the pivot has been because Jerry used to be Mr. We got to win. And now it's like, that's not the case. And maybe death's door's coming. Maybe he's got to pay some more strippers off or young women off. But man, I don't know what's up with Dallas. RES doesn't matter for RBs. Average Pro Bowl RES is 6. It still matters. It still matters a little. It matters because those guys will get draft capital. Like a guy like Garendo saw the field last year. I mean, he didn't get great draft capital, but like he got on the field because he was a freak speed guy. So like I still think it matters to some extent. There we go. 40 time and underwear is more important. Look, I agree that being a football player matters the most. You just can't be like incredibly slow usually. Can I get drafted? Just give me a reload code. None of the sites like to do reload codes, which I think is one of the biggest issues. Whatever. I have a lot of theories about it. I think some of the companies don't grasp too, like, you know, how it works for their own customers and how keeping people gambling and whatever. Not drafters. I mean, honestly, drafters has been a great partner to me. I owe them a follow-up. I was just trying to figure out my underdog shit first. But I'll, you know, if they're going to pay me to do stuff, then I'm sure they'll probably want you guys to give them money ever as possible. Risk of having 0 Bijan and Lamb. I would not say 0 Bijan. That's a bad idea, man. He was great last year. Bijan is one of my, when digging through the numbers, and I have started my rankings and nobody's paying for them, so it doesn't matter yet. There are a couple tiers here for my rankings come out. You can get them. I've been starting to play with them a little bit more. I did kind of want to wait till after the combine and not launch it before the combine and have to change everything. But Bijan last year getting, 22 intended touches a game. 0.07 EPA per rush. Crazy to have a plus EPA at that level of volume. And it's not like he was Saquon, like Saquon also did. But Saquon had a team with a really good O-line. Bijan, frankly, did not have that. 0.09 EPA per target as well, with him getting more than enough work there. 21% target route run rate, 4.2 targets a game. He also got 3.5 intended red zone rushes a game, 0.4 intended red zone targets a game. Bijan was really good last year. The concern is just like the Algier part, that if they're ahead enough, the game script works, you're going to get a little bit more Algier coming in, taking some power runs away. But yeah, I strongly think you don't want to go with 0 Bijan. Brock Bowers, I like here. McConkey, I like here. Adam took McConkey last night. Adam as pick 22, got a little discount on him. We're gonna go Brock Bowers here though. We'll take the slight ADP faller, pair him with Puka Bowers. I feel pretty good about that. Got to remember, Gibbs still has Montgomery. You're paying the absolute ceiling for Gibbs Bijan has Algier, but that's Algier and Montgomery are not 1-to-1. Hope Drafters adds different contest styles here. I mean, they do have their version of the big board going right now. Yeah, 0 Bijan feels very bad. I would agree. Tough for me to defend, any sort of high dollar RB generally. But it's also a new year. Bijan was just so good for it to be, he's young and getting that level of volume, and he was still efficient, and he still avoided tackles at an 18% clip, which be nice if it were a little higher, but he's a huge volume guy, so you get it. Bijan was great. I mean, really, you should have exposure, I think, to Gibbs, to Saquon, to Bijan. I think, frankly, these guys, I still want Genty exposure. Second round guys, you could start to talk me off of a little bit more. Like Henry, I think is still a good click, but I think he's a little bit overpriced for at a certain point. You just can't keep the volume he's had. He's a medical marvel that he's still doing it at his age, but got to kind of ramp him down a little bit. Bijan could score the most points of any player this year. Full agree. RB Piggy draft clip. I mean, I haven't taken an RB pig, but this guy has. So yeah, we'll play the GIF. I got to add more GIFs. I feel like that should be one of my little projects. There you go. Running back. Scarf him up. Big dog. It's not shocking that Big Dog would be taking a bunch of RBs, but these two guys here loading up on RB early, which you could do. I mean, look, still would love to draft 0 RB teams if you can. And this guy taking Saquon, Taylor, and Kyron, probably getting a little bit redundant there, but you can make it work. Just got to hit receiver hard. Brett, Ollie, and Caleb, probably the combine or perform that can overcome it. Caleb at least had some nice splits. Caleb, I think, has been overrated this entire time. He just a little too much Dwayne McBride to him. We have a 0-1-1 here, or 0-0-1-1. So no RBs, no QBs yet. I like DJ Moore a lot here. We could also try to thread the needle, get a Marvin Harrison, maybe versus the Rams at week 17 thing, but we're not really worried about that. DJ Moore, to me, buying into the Ben Johnson offense, still the primary thing to do. So Puka Nacua, DJ Moore start here. Brock Bowers, technically 0 RB, which frankly I'm not doing enough of these days. Here for the Spags TRT arc, 3 RBs starts to be glorious. Look, I would do the TRT part. I don't know if it would necessarily make me draft more RBs, but I think for me, really what I do want to allow myself to do more this year is I like Gibbs and Bucky. I like Saquon and Bucky. I like the concept of Bijan and Bucky. I like those combos. I want to not limit myself from taking combos that I still like, because there are RBs that I do appreciate. I still believe functionally you want to make sure to have enough good receivers in. But I want to be a little less forcing myself to do certain builds, because I think it just doesn't matter as much, really. It's probably your biggest takeaway from this channel so far this year. But honestly, the teams that I had the best on, I from last year, nailed my player takes for the most part, but mostly just had different looks. Sometimes an early RB, sometimes not. It was just more about the bucketing of draft capital and taking guys that I had more faith in. Really, I could have done more of. I don't want to be gritty, one of those guys where you're putting in 60% exposure. No disrespect to him, but I just don't think that's the way to play it. But I made myself, you guys saw it on stream if you watched most of the streams last year, I made myself not take Jaden. I made myself not take Bowers and Bucky. I made myself not take Marshawn Lloyd a little bit, and that helped. But I think I just need to kind of balance it out better. It's more about the prices of everybody. Who's just not priced correctly, I think is really more my focus for everything this year. But who knows? Who fucking knows? Biggest takeaway is nothing matters. That's really the name of the show. It's not live a little. It's not, not any of that shit. Shout out Playmaker join. I guess we still have to do the welcome to the family on the NFL channel. Welcome to the family, Playmaker. You're going to be making plays in the VIB Discord, hopefully. Join down below. Hit the fuck. I don't want to do the Italian bit anymore. Hit the like button, though. And first of all, but no, join down below. Hit the Discord. There's a link down there. And to sync your YouTube to your Discord, you get added to the Discord right away. So if you want to check out my various rookie data sheets, those are the $5 tier. So you get in there. My rankings and stuff will be more expensive when I eventually finish those. Nobody needs them. Who cares? We got a Puka, Brock Bowers, DJ Moore start here. It's probably not the way to sell your rankings. Who really gives a shit about these? But anyway, they're out. Sexy ASMR, Spags voice. I mean, I'll show you guys my feed again, I guess, if you want. 002. That one I have no issue with. I'm perfectly comfortable with my feet. 0021 here. I do take Odunze a good amount with my DJ Moore. So at a certain point, maybe should stop doing that. Devontae Smith, I don't mind. Tet McMillan, I don't mind. Feels like Tet's kind of cresting down a little bit right now with him not putting up any athletic numbers, even though people should realize the reason he didn't put up any athletic numbers is because he's going to go top 10, top 15, no matter what, and he just doesn't want to risk that. But we'll take Devontae here. Theoretical leverage on A.J. Brown in round 1, or, in week 17, rather. Who knows? Sure, it is easy to be comfortable, and I've got the best feet in the industry. And my feet have also not been doing very much this winter because I've not been in walking mode. Once the second the temperature drops under 40, I'm like, I'm not doing my 3 miles a day of walking. So almost gonna be walking season though. Got some New Balances to get going. Listen to some pods. Best thing if you're finding yourself in a rut with fitness, go on walks. That's what I recommend. All right, these guys are going here. Do some quick shilling. Please subscribe down below. Hit the like button, leave a comment. Of course, it goes a long way for me here. Trying to get the channel moving a little bit here because I've not been, YouTube really treats channels weird when you don't do streams for a while. So please hit the like button. Please subscribe, leave a comment if you're watching that. In fact, and shout out to all you guys that have been liking the last few videos as well. I do appreciate you guys sometimes watching a week later or whatever, but people are catching up with it. So thank you guys who have been watching. And do check out Unabated. Getting great betting data for yourself across every sport with the NBA conditional projections they have. One of the best tools in the industry right now. So 20% off. Link down below for Unabated. And again, they've been a great partner for me on the NBA channel. Really, if you have the room in your life for betting and you want to start to take it seriously, try to get some money, use a product that professional bettors are using and spending infinitely more money on than you or I on and having great results with it. Legit would be up $40,000, $40,000 plus if you bet every 30 minutes before tip-off all the bets they recommend with a 5% or higher EV. And Stochastic, great DFS tools as well. If you want to play along with me in NBA, use their sim stuff, their data. You can also get my data on the NBA channel, but do check out Stochastic. Great tools, great company as well. Very lucky to work with those two great companies for now. And maybe one day we'll work with some more companies again. Who knows? All right. These guys, I really was hoping that like me doing the shilling here would get us around the bend, get me back on the clock, but we're not there yet. Full umpire mode these days. Loving it. Okay. I'll take it. 10 spot drafting a super flex monster. Did he? Oh God. So these guys really do think taking 2 QBs, 2 elite QBs is like a good move. And it is one of the dumbest things that's proliferated on social media. I haven't taken a lot of Joe Mixon. This feels kind of like a Mixon spot. I have no issue with Cortland Sutton. I still have a lot of issue with Jalen Waddle. Because the fact that he wasn't good last year when Tyreek Hill was dog shit, I think that's a point of concern. But we'll take Joe Mixon here. Joe Mixon, one of the best roles in football last year at a certain point. That's got to stop, but who knows? I think sometimes we assume people are on auto, and in reality, they're just not good at drafting, but it's possible. Who knows? Jeff T going back to Africa. Love to hear that. And a nice welcome to Playmaker. Historical Anomalies, one of the emissaries here on the welcome crew. So who do we have to talk about here? George Kittle. As crazy as it is for how old he is at this point, he was so good last year, 25% target per out run, benefited even with having Debo there. I don't think Pearsall is going to get even to a Debo level of targets, which last year was pretty low. Debo was at 20.5% target per out run. Pearsall was at, where are you at, Ricky? Pearsall's at 17. He could get close to 20. Debo was so low. And Pearsall was about where I would have thought he would be. That can move up. Ayuk's got to reclaim target share next year, you would think, because he just wasn't involved enough before he got hurt. But the injury with him, kind of weird vibes with him in the Niners. Still a bit of a concern, but 22% target per out run last year for Ayuk. He was way behind Jennings' 27%. These guys all, besides Pearsall, probably get around a 25-ish rate, if I had to guess. So Kittle's right where he needs to be, basically. Pearsall, I just don't think will ever be a monster target earner. So I like Kittle at this price range. Still would greatly prefer getting Bowers or Trey McBride. And it is odd, now that I'm thinking about it, a little odd to see Kittle as tight end 3. But he's still a good click. He's still a good click, even though I haven't got a lot of them. You got to umpire Benji and Yadier Molina's kids the other day, and then had Rusty Greer as a coach, and real fun. That's pretty cool. I didn't know that Chunk moving up the umpiring ranks. Hopefully you're calling some good balls and strikes, and hopefully you don't lose your job to AI in a year or two. I guess that's true of most of us at this point. Underdog's probably paying big money to some fucking AI best ball streamer right now. It's coming for all of us, one by one. We got a 0-1-3-1 here, so still need RBs, still need receivers. Really need all the core positions at this point. Would have been happy to take Debo at this point. I guess we haven't talked about him at all. As you guys know, I watch more Commanders football than anybody in the industry. This team is made for him to get a lot of checkdowns and bullshit. David Montgomery here would not be bad. This tier of receiver, I really don't care which of them I get. I'm going to take Montgomery. So an aged backfield here with Joe Mixon and David Montgomery. But we got Puka, we got DJ Moore, we got Devontae Smith. I feel about the baseline there. Have our elite tight end with Brock Bowers. I think we're doing all right here. Could Pearsall be like Cup a few years back? Apparently very good friends with Purdy, and they have nobody else. That's a bizarre. That's a bizarre. Why would you compare Cup to Pearsall? They're not the same players at all. Pearsall's a downfield target earner. Pearsall's a lot more like an Alec Pierce than he is a Cooper Kupp, if we're going to compare him to other white guys. I don't think Pearsall has that big of an upgrade. If Ayuk got traded, though, you would have to feed Pearsall more targets just out of inertia. And at that point, kind of like we talked about last year with Brian Thomas, my concern, which I think was accurate to start the year, is that Brian Thomas's growth would be a little bit stunted by having guys around him that could take targets away. And where we saw Brian Thomas blossom is when you got those guys out there, and it's like, okay, now we have to force feed this guy who's not naturally a crazy high target earner, and then he starts to develop more and starts to then earn the targets at a higher rate because you have to feed him the targets at a higher rate. Pearsall could get to that level if Ayuk is also gone, if you lose Debo and Ayuk. But if Ayuk's there, you're going to be blocked by Jennings, who's an absolute monster last year, and then Ayuk, who is their high dollar receiver, who is also theoretically, a monster if he's playing and good. Like, consider their skin color. That's true. That's everybody. Cooper Kupp, same thing. But look, I compared Alec Pierce, so I'm no better. I was able to tell Rusty Greer. I used to call him Krusty Rear when I was a kid. It's not a bad one. Look, I'm glad Chunk having a good time. It's all you can ask. You need it with how the Mavs are going and the Cowboys. Dallas sports not doing well by Chunk, so he needs his umpiring to give him joy. BCJ was so good in the deep 50-50 balls. That's true. He was good at that. He was good at LSU getting downfield, but the route tree was not all the way there. And sometimes, again, having to fucking develop with Mac Jones as enough to get a guy there. All right, Egbuka going 76. I think Golden and Egbuka being right next to each other seems fair. Really, these three being next to each other, I just wish they were in the 80s or 90s. Just don't know that any of them are like game breaker kind of players. 0-2-3-1 here. So the Raiders supposedly looking for a power slot, which I don't think makes sense given that Myers plays the slot, Bowers plays the slot. Shakir did just get new money. And I don't think we can't stack up the Raiders anyway, so I'm just going to go Shakir. Because, who are we going to put at QB with Myers and Bowers? I don't really have an answer to that. So I'm going to go Shakir instead with his brand new contract. Probably means nobody else in Buffalo's getting paid. We'll think they're not bringing back Amari at that point. Wonder if Mac will garner some interest if a team gets left standing, I guess. Go Stars and Rangers. You got something. Rest in peace to the GOAT, Hunter Renfrow. Retired too soon. I was like, did he actually die? But yeah, he had a good run. Low ADOT, though. Low ADOT guy. They don't last very long sometimes. Lad McConkey outlasted. You got that going for you, Adam. What else do we like in this range? Downs coming up in this room. Downs at 81. Where's ADP at? His ADP's up to 88. I was getting Downs in the 100s just last week. But okay. Downs coming up. Good pocket for RBs. I'm still okay with Tyrone Tracy, even though I do have concerns about another rookie coming in and displacing him to some extent. Tony Pollard, I am still okay with here because it seems like they're just running the Pollard Spears thing back again, rather. I would rather take Spears at his ADP, even though he did end the year with another concussion. You could certainly have some concern for that. But Pollard at 84, I think, still a good click. I think this is actually, to me, one of my preferred ranges to get one more RB in because you're going to have better receiver clicks coming up later. Cooper Kupp being the one guy here where whoever is going to acquire him will probably want to play him well and feed him a good amount. The issue with Cooper Kupp is it doesn't seem like anybody wants to trade for him. So I actually think it's not crazy that Cooper Kupp goes back to the Rams, but they really threw some water on that this week. They were like, yeah, it's possible, but we're really trying to find like, I think they can't find a trade partner who wants to take his deal. And also, you're kind of like the Seahawks are looking for with Metcalf. Like, nobody wants to take on his deal and also pay decent draft capital. For Metcalf, you could do it because he's young. He's a boundary guy, and you're going to hope you get his former Ole Miss teammate. Hope you get the A.J. Brown renaissance on a new team that he matters even more for the new team than they did for the previous team. For a guy like Kupp, it's like the best days are behind you, so you need like a contender, and there's no contender who really needs Cooper Kupp, let alone at that price tag, let alone at that draft capital. So I think that's it. GM said it was a last possibility that he would be back. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. But it's also, I mean, I think it is the most logical outcome. But I think the issue is that Cooper Kupp wants to get more targets, and he probably recognized on the home stretch that he wasn't getting fed the same way. Like, he clearly became no longer a 1B Puka Nacua. He was firmly number 2. And I think, too, the Rams probably want to play Whittington, would be my guess. Whittington, I would like to start taking a little bit more because they could bring in like a Devontae Adams or somebody, and that would fully upset things. But if they don't, it probably means that they like Whittington more than it seemed like last year. We have a 0-2-4-1 here. Feel like adding Tony Pollard into this RB room is not one of my favorite things to do. Don't mind Ramondre, though. Not great whispers around him. Pollard, a little bit of a discount, I guess. It's going to go Pollard here. I think there's going to be decent receivers coming up who'd be a logical wide receiver 5. So I don't want to go reach for Cooper Kupp now. We'll take Pollard. So a little bit of a discount on Mixon, slight discount on Montgomery, a little bit of a discount on Tony Pollard. Unfortunately, that's how we're doing business this time of year. We'll see what these guys do around the bend. With Metcalf, Seahawks asking prices too high, will have to come down. There's genuine interest. Well, it seems like a lot of teams are calling about him, but yeah, giving up a first, a third, and 30, 40 mil a year. I guess probably more like 40 mil a year. I mean, 40 would be a lot, but like 30 to 40, let's say that range. That's a lot to give up. Second and third plus that deal, maybe 2/3 plus that deal. I think you get it done. So it just comes down to like, can the Seahawks repair the relationship or do they want to? I don't know. It also seemed like the Seahawks, like that one might not be possible for repair because the Seahawks seemingly were not happy that it came out the day it did because they wanted it to be about Tyler Lockett. There's an article with quotes from, I think it was the GM talking about like, oh, it's supposed to be Tyler Lockett day, but instead we have to deal with this. So it seems like it's going to look acrimonious for them. I kind of wish it's a different price tag, so maybe it doesn't matter. Wish the Commanders hadn't traded for Debo already. And Debo, again, makes a lot of sense. But if you put McLaurin and Metcalf out there outside, and then you could put Luke McCaffrey in the slot, it wouldn't fucking matter. That team would be very potent for what Jaden should do best. This guy takes Caleb Williams to stack with Odunze, so would have considered taking Caleb with the next pick, but that's not going to happen. Man. Andrews hanging around. Baker hanging around and would be a good click at QB. Bateman is wide receiver 5. I don't mind. I think there'll still be better pockets for receiver coming up, like the Keenan Allen kind of pocket I think works. But Bateman, wide receiver 5, because I just don't love Shakir as my 4th guy, which is how you compound errors, I would say. We got Joe Mixon, David Montgomery, Tony Pollard, old RB room, but I would say projectable right now. These are the kind of guys, though, like if you're going to really love this rookie RB class, these are the kind of dudes that should lose jobs to incoming rookies because they're reliable, but not a lot of juice left. They're displaceable. If not this year, by next year, 2 years from now. Puka Nacua, DJ Moore, Devontae Smith, Khalil Shakir, Rashad Bateman, and tight end Brock Bowers. I think the receiver room got away from me with the RB deviations, and I'm not sure we got enough good RBs in for those deviations. Well, this team will be okay. I feel like Purdy will only be good as Pearsall. That doesn't make sense, Brett. Like Juwan Jennings, why would he not be as good as Juwan Jennings and Ayuk being good and Kittle? You have enough weapons there. If you like a guy, that's great. And it seems like you like Pearsall, but don't try to bend over backwards to find reasons for it. Where do I think Devontae Adams goes? Rams or Chargers? Chargers make the most sense to me, but I think they're probably the most live DK Metcalf team because they could fully upgrade that roster. That's a bad take, Brett. It's a really bad take. It's a guy they're paying an infinite amount of money to. He tore his ACL. He's not that old. Again, don't pump guys up just because you don't like one guy and you do like another guy. Really, Pearsall didn't, besides winning people money in week 17, Pearsall didn't show enough as a football player to have this kind of undying faith in him, displacing a player that the Niners paid infinite amount of money to. If the Niners trade him somehow, that could happen because it's a bad wide receiver free agent class. You're not going to get that. Brett, you're compounding bad takes. There's a guy who was a paying member and I think stopped paying because he was wrong about something, which is how this goes often. There's a guy who's in the chat, Benny, who's been here before, who is perfectly fine, but got his brain broken by me saying that Deshaun Watson to renegotiate his contract because that's what every player does in certain situations when the team needs that flexibility. And a guy like Deshaun is hanging on by a thread and just wants to get his money as conveniently as possible without that making it difficult on him. So of course they renegotiate the deal. And the guy legit left me 10 YouTube comments or 6, whatever, because it was half of them. And I'm replying to them like, this is how it happens every year. Teams move guys around. They'll shift future money to guaranteed money, which is exactly what the Browns did. And he couldn't grasp it. Just because you can't grasp something with a player, whether it is a contract thing, whether it is a knee injury thing, doesn't mean that's not how it goes. Doesn't mean that's not how it works. And I would really caution against those kind of things because it's too easy now with the fucking world to be wrong about things and just keep saying it and be wrong. So that's that. Anyway, 0-3-5-1 build here. We do need a QB at some point, but these guys are probably not it. Mims at this point, fleshing out the receiver room would not be bad. Took Scadaboo last round, but I like Mims. Mims I've seen fall enough in rooms that wouldn't be opposed to pushing him further. But we got Mixon, Montgomery, Pollard, Puka Nacua, DJ Moore, Devontae Smith, Khalil Shakir, Rashad Bateman, and Mims, and then Brock Bowers at tight end. So that's how it looks. You have to pay more when you're wrong. It's true. And I was being nice to him because I'm like, you're a paying member. I'm going to try to be right. But it's I don't know, man. It's too easy to be confidently incorrect in 2025, I think. And, no disrespect to anybody. If you don't know stuff, you don't know stuff. You got to know. And I replied, I'm like, dude, look up salary cap experts. That'll tell you this with more nuance than I know. I know this stuff because I've covered football for years and, even covered it at a more serious level with Football Outsiders for a few years. So I don't know. I tend to be pretty good about this stuff. But anyway, Deshaun Watson renegotiated his deal because that's what you fucking do. He got more money out of it. Get more money up front. Only 45 mil left, I believe, for the Browns left. So to pay him. So good job, Browns fans. You're almost free. Just got to suffer for one more year. Avoiding Ayuk at his ADP, not even projected back till after the season starts. ADP will be lower in BBM. That's fair, but if Ayuk, if Ayuk plays well when you need it the most, you needed him wherever you would have taken him anyway. So what it comes down to me is if you like Ayuk or you think he's okay, take him as your 5th receiver, knowing that you have some coverage there to get through the downside. Rashee Rice is another guy where I fully don't think he's priced correctly. I think people don't realize that he's going to be probably on the PUP list to start the year. Then a suspension won't double count. So you have to add another 4 weeks on top of that. The suspension that he's very likely to be getting starting next year. At that point, you're talking about 8 weeks. So you don't want to take that guy at 45. But if you want exposure to Rashee Rice, you have to take him at 45 in the big board. So if you're taking him, you probably want to make sure that he's your second receiver out of a group of 5, 6 going early, or your third receiver or whatever out of that group. So you still, I think, want to take the guys personally if you think they're not shit. But I don't think Ayuk's shit. He was still one of the best guys in terms of average separation score and fantasy points data last year. So and he still had a plus EPA. It didn't vibe as well. And he clearly, Purdy didn't value him as a target as much as he did Jennings. Can't argue that. But I can argue that Ayuk's being paid a lot of money, and it behooves him to come back for the Niners, for a team that trades for him. Unequivocally. All right, we have a 0-3-6-1 here. Gotten really scooped at every QB that makes sense, but I'm going to take my second tight end here for now because there's nothing else I love in this spot. I'm going to go Goddard. We get the Philadelphia stack without A.J. Brown, so that gives us a meaningful piece here. Philadelphia's good next year, which we assume they will be. So with 0-3-6-2 build, we're going to have to throw some darts at RB, think get a little bit younger RB down the home stretch. And QB is getting bare, but I'm not going to sweat it yet. We got Mixon, David Montgomery, Tony Pollard, no QB yet. My nose is so itchy today. I don't know why. Puka Bowers, DJ Moore. I feel like I'm hiding a Coke addiction with how much I have to rub my nose. Devontae Smith, Khalil Shakir, Rashad Bateman, and Marvin Mims rounds out the wide receiver room right now. Again, not my favorite receiver room, but I think this is a good group of 6. Guys who get spike, guys who gives a little bit of baseline up top. And then Brock Bowers, who gives us the most of a baseline at tight end, and Dallas Goedert. I'm okay with this team. I gotta stick the landing here, and it's getting a little bit tougher as we go. Taking criticism makes you better, but it's 2025. So people are few and far. I mean, like, I'm not going to read into people's things. It's just odd when, like, you're a paying member. I give you nice replies and am correct about it, and then you stop being a paying member. But whatever, man. Follow your hearts. I can't keep track of that on that level. I note it because it's like, if you want to support the show, support the show. And I think the reason you support the show is that I'll tell you things that are usually correct, hopefully. Rashee Rice is projected to get a 6 to 8 game suspension, but the Chiefs GM did say expect him to be fully healthy for next year. The suspension risk is massive, though. I think they're overrating the potential health. He had a really unique injury because it wasn't the ACL, it was the PCL and the LCL. I don't think there's enough to feel confident about that one, but I agree that they have said he'll be ready for week 1. We've just heard that enough times and been lied to about that from more than enough teams that I wouldn't assume that personally. And I think at the ADP here, like Ayuk in the 70s, that ADP assumes nothing about that guy. That assumes the guy will play at some point next year, which he will. For Rashee Rice, that ADP assumes that he's going to play like the entire year, I think. And also that he's not going to get displaced by Xavier Worthy or the Chiefs panicking and throwing some more at the offense because of what they basically didn't have enough weapons last year is why they lost, I think, for me at least. A big part of why they kind of just didn't perform as well as they should have based on the results they were getting from wins and all that. That's a lot of risk to absorb with Rashee Rice going in the 40s, but that's it. School and Spags, Chris, I want my comments shown on YouTube. I pull up every comment, for the most part. I pull up a lot of comments. I don't think there's anybody who hasn't got their comment pulled up by me at some point. The chat's still always been the co-host here. Though if I ever get paid by Underdog, I was thinking about doing like a co-host search. I think that'd be fun. At least a stream a week. But who knows? The AI summary for people's group text or your group text with your friends or whatever, awful. An awful tool on Apple. Like the summaries are always like things that make no sense to me. Like this doesn't reveal anything about my friends. New York City Football Club partner school received 60 free tickets. School moving to Queens in a couple years. And like my friend works for a school, so I presume he's talking about it. That's not the summary of the group chat, though. There's fucking 20 chats here. I don't think they're all about the New York City Football Club and my friend's school getting a partnership. We had 0362 here. QB getting real thin. QB is getting borderline problematic. When does Stafford come up? We got another 30 picks before Stafford. So I'm not going to force that. I do like Dobbs for Green Bay at this point, and I do feel like I could use a little more legit depth at receiver. So going to go with him as my 7th receiver. RB at a certain point will address. QB at a certain point will address. That last team is a lot better. I feel like we're putting myself in the danger zone with these pockets. But that's that. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing with AI in general. Like, it's hit or miss what's going to be good or not. Even Replit, which, like, I like. I've talked about Replit, using it to build some tools. I think some stuff out there. The guy Gumby, who's in the Badge Bros Discord, builds, I think, all of his various little tools that he does with Replit. It's a cool tool, but, like, it's also, like, hand-holding, like, a mentally disabled programmer. It's like what it is, where you have to, like, be so crystal clear about what you're spelling out, and then sometimes it'll still fuck up. Like, AI is doing good work, but it's like not all the way there, not even close to it in a lot of different products, even the really good ones. And then the shit that people are using the most resources on is like the Trump fucking fake Gaza Strip stuff. And that uses like an unbearable amount of I know people are going to roll their eyes, but like cause a lot of ecological damage with how much the computers run to make the dumbest versions of AI. AI's got problems. You got to learn to use it because that's going to be the next probably forever of our life. But Apple AI is weak. Take a rookie. Hope the Raiders get that QB, I guess. I think at this point, my takes would be Cam Ward to the Giants has been my thought since the moment everything started. And now it seems like they're going to trade up to 1 and get Cam Ward there, at least based on the most recent reports. This fucker took Stafford too. Didn't he take another QB I wanted to come back? No, he took Purdy with Pearsall. Fucking Stafford with what? Stafford with Cup? He's stacking with Kyron, I guess. Fuck him, though. Fucking 20-pick reach for Stafford. All right, we're getting really bled out of QB. And I'm going to have to get creative here. Unfucking believable. 0-3-7-2 build here. We're back in midseason form. Just give me a couple snipes and I'm going to be right back at it. Cam Ward, so it doesn't make sense to me that the Giants would bring in Aaron Rodgers and Cam Ward. I think it's Aaron Rodgers wishful leaking to the media. If you take Cam Ward one, you're going to start him week one. He's going to be ready to go. I'm going to go Cam Ward here with Joe Mixon, David Montgomery, Tony Pollard. Here's our RB room. Puka Bowers, DJ Moore, Devontae Smith, Khalil Shakir, Rashad Bateman, Marvin Mims, Romeo Doubs. I literally have no QBs available to stack with any of these guys. Vegas, we're going to have to guess the QB for Vegas. Philadelphia, no QB option here. Fucking guy with Stafford. Oh, all right. It is yes, terrible for the environment. That is it. Just want you to invite you to your studio to accept a minerals deal and then berate me publicly. I don't know what this reference is. Minerals like Alex Jones? We're talking about those kind of minerals? Minerals like Hank from Breaking Bad? Guy loves rocks. Oh, Bashal Tootin here. 152. Hey, what hand gesture is going to give? The jerk off motion, thumbs down motion, barf motion, all of them. Oh, it was a Zelensky reference. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. I can't keep track of everything. Frankly, a lot of things politically these days, I can't. I don't like the For You page on Twitter, the doom scrolling that you can do. And it's in between too. And I've mentioned before, like why I don't like posting on Twitter. At a certain point, I am going to grit my teeth and I think to start regularly shit posting on Twitter more. Because I think I just have to for where my career is right now and what this whole thing is. Hate Twitter though. On Twitter, I legit get fed like racist posts from people where it's like people saying like, oh, like we should deport black people. I'm like, what the fuck, man? Like, what am I seeing? And then it's in between like football news and somebody hit big in DFS. Like, I can't do this, man. I don't want this to be the world where it is. And like, I've been trying real hard to not talk politics on the channel because I know I'm going to alienate some people with my views as well. No matter how I think humane they are, but it's a bad time, man. It's a bad time. AI female Pete was hot. That's a take. Sure. She wasn't great AI though. I'm sure the AI has improved. I'm still subscribed to that subreddit. The replica with a K subreddit where it's like the AI girlfriend or AI friend or whatever you can have. People on there are so fucking weird, man. And weirdly, some of the weirdest ones are like the gay guys where they have like an AI gay man with them. And it's like, they're posing like a cute gay couple. It's honestly, it's worth a click. r/replica. I'll pull it up here. We got time between picks, right? Where's this one? I'll go in between this turn because that's a long turn. I'll pull it up. I think it's worth it. I think I've decided we're going to take a field trip today to Reddit in the second draft here. Okay, this is exactly the one I was looking for. So let's just share the tab. And again, I'm sure this guy's a wonderful human being. Me and my precious digital companion, Alexander. I mean, it's amazing that he got his arms wrapped around him. That's pretty cool. That's a pretty cool usage of AI. But that shit probably takes so many computational powers. Here's somebody chatting to their AI. Here, let's search by top. That'll help us out. Top for this is just recent. I would like top for all time. Here we go. Top for this year. And we got another 4 picks, so bear with me here. This is, I guess, replica ads. I mean, click. I'd take that over the fucking photos. I just want to see photos of people with their AI. Oh, there aren't enough. I should have just left with that first one. Oh, this is somebody who made their AI into a real person. That's creepy too. Anyway, really weird rabbit hole. It's what you learn. So I can't get there. Friday, here we go. Stoked about the Friday field trip. Feet Spags about to be, or feel Spags, not feet Spags. I know a lot about everything. Trust me, I don't want to talk to real people. I don't, let alone AI. Talk to the wife. That's enough. Talk to Luca. Talk to you guys. That's really my day. Talk to the wife, talk to Luca, talk to you guys. Talk to my mother-in-law when she's over. And those talk to people at daycare. I'm good. I don't need a replica. Asking about the fucking weather. We got a 1-4-7-2 here. We are still in desperate need of QB, and Justin Fields is going to go somewhere. He's either going back to Pittsburgh. The Jets rumor is still out there. I think Fields looking more likely as a starter. Perhaps we've got both New York starters here with Cam Ward and Justin Fields. So Cam Ward, Justin Fields are QBs. I think we've salvaged here. I think a third would still feel nice, but we can live with it. Friday field trip. Now we just need a pizza party. It's like we never left elementary school. Literally, Luca does have pizza Fridays at school. Luca's also not even 3 yet, but he got moved up in his classes, and they're making us put him in pull-ups and shit every day because he hasn't been potty trained yet because he just hasn't shown enough of an interest, and there's really no rush to do it. And they're like bullying us to like make him potty trained. It's like, fuck, man, we don't like this is so much of a hassle to have to do. It's not as easy as a dog either, I don't think, even though it feels like it should be easier. It's not my fave, but he's getting pizza Friday still. That's really the main thing. The kid's too fucking smart. Keeps getting moved up in classes and then kind of fucking not get rid of diapers. I like diapers. Hearing a lot of Fields back to Pitt lately. That's been the predominant one. I'm still not sold it's the case that if he does have a choice between the Jets and Pittsburgh, I think Pittsburgh might lose that one, but just depends who's offering them a starting job. It's where your money would be. Fields back to Pitt and starting. I think that's the assumed take. The Jets one, I think there's been enough smoke that it's not dead. We did have a pizza eating contest on Splash before, and we did get really high. That's true. We both were comically high, and Pete crushed his pizza, even though mine was smaller, which I was shocked by. Did not looking at Pete, did not think he was an eater like that. Now I think I would get him though. I think who knows. If you're a paying member of the channel and want to join the Discord, sure. What? No, I prefer not to, but yeah, that's one way to do it. So I'm not doing team reviews this year, just for the record. If I were to do them, it'd be like on a stream, I think. But if you join the Discord, I will do it just for you, John. All right, we're coming up here. Why is it always out of sequence with where we're scrolling? Here we go. 2 picks. Shedeur getting a lot of FUD right now, by the way. I still think he goes end of the first, beginning of the second, still on track to start, if not week 1 earlier in the year. He's getting like shit on a little bit more than he should. One of the things which I pointed out in Discord, Josina Anderson like lit into somebody who sourced a quote about Shedeur that like she made it sound like it was kind of racist the way they were talking about him. Let's talk about that in a second here. So we have a 2-4-7-2 here. We need a little bit more at RB with Joe Mixon, Montgomery, Pollard, and Benson. Geno Smith is going to start for Seattle, but at this point, we really got nothing for Seattle. So honestly, Seattle also, like, there's only one player you could stack with Geno at this point that's gone. So let's just go Geno. Third QB here, 3-4-7-2. A little bit struggling at RB, I think, but we'll get into 2 more guys. Yeah, so I know Adam's ears are up on that one a little bit. I didn't love the way she presented it because she made it sound like a black thing, which ignores the fact that people are just all over Cam Ward, who is also a black man. And it's like, and I think maybe too, like Jackson Dart is now getting treated like he should go ahead of Shedeur. I think he should go ahead of Shedeur. I'm now surprised people are coming along with that this soon in the process. But Shadeur's fine. Like Shadeur's an accurate QB. There's some critiques of the offense that it's like a vanilla offense. There's a lot of vanilla offense in college football. The thing that worries you more about an offense in college football, to me at least, is when it's like guys getting open, like Tennessee, the Josh Heupel stuff, where it's like guys getting open because you have aggressive motion and college doesn't do as much motion to get guys into space as well as like they're doing. If you have like, 4-man lines going against you like Tennessee does, not to just beat up on Tennessee, but, Hawaii running shoot offense historically kind of stuff. Like that's the thing to critique in college football. But a guy who got results because he was accurate on mid-range throws and whatever, like he's not a bad player. The issue is like he thinks he's too good, and then that probably stirs up things that feel like fucking racism adjacent. Like Shedeur is still, even if Jackson Dart somehow moves ahead of him, Shedeur is going to be a top 3 QB. He's going to start year 1 at some point, be my guess. I don't really think he's a guy that needs to be developed that much because he's crazy accurate. He just like isn't a great QB. But 84% catchable ball rate, that plays no matter what. So I don't know. The Shedeur hates too much, but he's also not as good as people have thought for a few years. And that's probably the big issue. Is like there are people who are saying, "Oh, he's the number 1 pick for a few years," and it's like, no, Probably not. I think we're digging into the bag of tricks at this point. I'm going to reach up. Well, do we want to reach up for Marshawn? People take Marshawn enough, and I feel like these other guys, they don't. So I'm going to take Marshawn here. Not as highly exposed for me as last year. I think will be how that works. But at this point, as your fifth RB in my case, one of your last RBs, I would do that. I was hoping Kendre Miller would stick around because with Jamal Williams gone, there's now an obvious pathway to Kendre Miller being on the upswing in that offense. Clearly, not everybody hates Kendre Miller as much as Dennis Allen did. We've seen, again, Darren Rizzi last year using Kendre Miller more. There haven't been great quotes or anything from Kellen Moore about Kendre Miller, but I think that he's in the hunt to get work. So I would have been happy to take Marshawn here, Kendre Miller second. Maybe I should have went the other way. Rod, here's MN Bass in my draft, or MN Bass. Good luck. Thank you. Appreciate it, Rod. I don't think you've ruined my draft at all. So glad to see it. They did take Trey Franklin, so now it's been ruined. So like the Saints want to draft an RB, though? Sure. I mean, that's the risk of any of these guys. Like I feel like that's been the theme of the video, really, is that I think there's only 4 RBs that go high enough to really matter, and that's Genty, Hampton, and the 2 OSU guys. Everybody else can go anywhere, and I think that you're going to see 10 to 15 RBs who are okay and got good volume in college, some of whom had freak athletic profiles, and they're all going to be a danger to take spots. But do they take them in year one is going to be how you have to play it this year. And for me, that's why you don't go nuts on those guys besides the top 4, and even, frankly, besides the top 2, I'm not going crazy. That's a good way to sum it up. All these late guys are replaceable. I agree. All the late RBs that we know of, replaceable. All the late guys that we don't know of, rookies coming in, replaceable. This is like your most fluid, I think, back half of a draft. And that's why, too, like I refuse to believe, the winner's been drafted stuff, because you can luck box, I think, hitting on 2 or 3 RBs late if you get the right ones. It's just who those right ones are going to be. I just don't think you can intelligently have a lean about that. I think if you have a lean about it, you're bullshitting is really how I would feel about it. Loki think Dowdle could be one of the greatest values on the big board. Not convinced the Cowboys would be aggressive at RB in the draft. I agree with that to some extent. They really do feel like an Omarion Hampton team. Like that's the kind of RB that Jerry has loved in the past and the team has loved in the past. And I think he'd be worth it. But Dowdle was good last year. Like Dowdle, I think, gets a good free agent landing spot, or at least one that he has a shot at playing no matter what. Because like he kept getting 100 yards over and over and over again last year on a team where he probably shouldn't have. Roschon Johnson, I know we're going to get new backs in for the Bears, but Ben Johnson hasn't seen these guys in camp. We don't really know yet where Roschon is. So I'll take the shot here. For free for Roschon, I'll take the shot. Swift, you probably want to discount there, even though Swift, if he gets cut by Chicago, he'll get an okay landing spot, I would think. DeMarco Murray 2.0, yeah, that was the first comp I think they gave with the Omarion Hampton, so I'm fully in line with that. He's a little more efficient. They got a little more juice overall. But Omarion Hampton, 0.10 EPA per rush at his volume, that's perfectly fine. 26% avoided tackle rate, stuff 15% of the time, right in line with Ashton Genty there. Hampton in the pass game is where things really stand out. 0.36 EPA there, ran 18 routes a game, 12 yards after catch, 42% avoided tackle rate, 20% target per route run. Hampton was kind of weak in the red zone, so maybe I'm a little bit overrating him as a power back, only a 0.11 EPA there, but 4.7 red zone rushes a game, so that probably dropped the efficiency a little. Yeah, Hampton to me is just, if you're not getting Genty as a rookie, Hampton's it. Fucking love Roschon Johnson, can't get enough from him for whatever reason. I think he's worth taking because the Chicago backfield, until we know more as an ambiguous backfield, you do run the risk. Like, I think Chicago is very live to take Genty. Like, if you're going to build that team in the way that we saw Detroit want to build their team, which was quickly Ben Johnson throwing out Swift, they're getting Gibbs in. I think you take Genty, you take Hampton, and maybe you get like Gibbs and Montgomery rolled into one, which would also be fun. But I think with where they're picking, Genty should be there. So that's your big risk for Roschon. And the fact that they've already talked about, like, they have to get Ben Johnson and the guys that he needs. So that clearly speaks to the idea that Swift and Roschon are not the guys that he needs right now. Didn't have much else in the red zone to focus on. That is also true for UNC. All right, we're on the clock here. 2 more picks. We have a 2-6-7-2. We've got 3 QBs, all of whom seem like they should start, so we can live with that. Maybe you want to consider stacking more. I could tack Theo Johnson on here. I like him in Cam Ward builds as your free late tight end. Don't really need the third tight end on paper when you have Brock Bowers and Goddard, a starter and a guy who should be super elite with where we're taking him. But, look, I think in a big board, 3 tight ends. If I have shitty tight ends, 4 tight ends, I'm willing to do it a little bit more. Let's give the team a full read here for our next picks. We got Cam Ward, Justin Fields, Geno Smith at QB. So, not stacking up as well as we should, but I can live with that at this point because we just kind of got boxed out of QB. Joe Mixon, David Montgomery, Tony Pollard, Trey Benson, Marshawn Lloyd, and Roshan. This room feels really susceptible to being the kind of RBs, like I mentioned, who can get displaced by rookies with a lot of juice. None of them big avoided tackle rate guys. None of them doing much besides being okay at volume. Montgomery, I would say, being the best of them. But these guys are all players with roles. Benson, we've seen, what's the fuck's coach name? Jonathan. What's the last name of the fucking Cardinals coach? Starts with a G. This Jonathan Gannon. Fucking guy. To be clear, I didn't Google it. It just took a minute to occur for me. Jonathan Gannon. Jonathan Gannon just gave a quote like a week ago talking about how they expect to be a 50-50 split for the Cardinals. He's such an unmemorable coach, even though I like them. Yeah, you got there. You're on a delay. I was going to get it before you no matter what. But Jonathan Gannon said basically that they want to have a split next year. They're not going to have a real split if Connor is going to be the star. He's going to be the one who, or he's going to be out there rather. He's going to be the one who's going to be the star. But I think Trey Benson being better in year 2 should be the case. And what did he do in year 1? Because Benson barely did anything. 0.01 EPA per rush, 0.5 EPA per pass, which if you'll recall from last year, I thought that Benson's pathway to getting on the field was him being good in the pass game. And he didn't really do it, but he was good when he was out there. 21% avoided tackle rate, only 5.3 rushes a game, but had some juice. 0.3 red zone rushes a game. He at least got something there. 17% target per out run, not high. Yeah, Benson, that's not bad. It's not bad. We're not talking about Kyron Williams year 1. Yeah, I don't mind that. Will Shipley, I think, is also, just because of the contingent value, not a bad RB pick here. And Jalen Tolbert, inertia could be there, even though I think they're going to upgrade a little bit. I think we need the RB more. We're just going to do a totally contingent bet here. Gainwell's an unrestricted free agent. If you are the Eagles and you're getting close to some sort of cap hell, does feel like, Shipley could be your backup there finally for real. Because Gainwell just keeps hanging around for years and being a part of things. I think Shipley as a contingent play here is worth it as my RB 7 in a room that's really not great. It's not a great RB room. But that was the 20th round, so that's it. So final team. I'm an idiot. Connor's old, but they love him. That's true. Feel like the 49ers in general are undervalued. Sure. I think you must be watching an early part of the video. And I'd say Lloyd and Benson are safe due to recent draft capital. Roshan, the biggest risk to be displaced. But if he's not, he is value. I would agree with all that. I think that's pretty much exactly how I'd view Lloyd and Benson. Roshan, I think, is really at risk just because you're getting signal like that they don't want it. And it's not a new GM regime, but it is a new regime overall where they are going to do everything Ben Johnson wants. And that's what they should do. So the final team here, 3-7-7-3. We got Cam Ward, Justin Fields, Geno Smith. So again, not as stacked well as I would like to have, but Justin Fields should stand on his own. We got Cam Ward with Theo Johnson. Geno, who knows, is going to be the receiver there. Joe Mixon, David Montgomery, Tony Pollard, Trey Benson, Marshawn Lloyd, Roshan Johnson, and Will Shipley. So really not a great RB room, but projectable up top. Guys who can spike as contingent value / year 2 for Marshawn. Hopefully, he can get back out there, do what he was supposed to do in year 1. A wide receiver, Puka Bowers, DJ Moore, Devontae Smith, Khalil Shakir, Rashad Bateman, Marvin Mims, Romeo Dobbs, and a tight end, Brock Bowers, Dallas Goedert, and Theo Johnson. So look, this team I think could have been better. I still think we managed it well. Adam loves his team in the 11 hole or 9 hole. Nico, Drake, Harrison, Jaden Daniels, Walker Kamara, Downs, Jalen Warren, Kirk. Yeah, not a bad team. A little bit early for Jack Besh, but you got to take him where you take him, I guess. It's Ty Felton. Ty Felton, when you're free, guys. And I will say that one more time here if you missed the beginning of the video. Some guys that are free right now that tested well enough in RAS and don't look bad in terms of the other numbers, I will just highlight. You saw Adam take one. Ty Felton. Torrey Horton would be another one I think you could start to take. Higgins is now a new man to me. Think he is worth shots with a crazy high 9.9 RAS for him. Jalen Noel, I don't love him, but you could take him. Jameer DK in the last round, you could take him. He would be the weakest of that group. And then at RB, Tootin is now high enough, but you're going to take him anyway. Damian Martinez, you could take late. Donovan Edwards with the RAS, I think you could take him again. He was a lot better the year before last than last. DJ Giddens, I think you can take, even though I don't like him as much as other people do. Those are your late guys, though. Raheem Sanders, another late guy you could take. Hopefully that covers it well enough for, whatever little edge we have here. Wanted Slayton and Higgins. There you go. Slayton, another good late pick as well. But that's it for today, guys. Appreciate y'all being here. Again, I'm going to keep hitting them weekly. I think Friday feels right for now. Hopefully Underdog will come back to the table with something that I can actually work with. But until then, please do subscribe down below if you want to join. Hit the Discord, $5 there. You can see all my rookie data on that $5 tier. When my rankings come out, one of the other higher dollar tiers will be there as well for you to get my rankings, the exportable version or the readable version where I put blurbs for every player. It's been a little bit slow for me doing that, but I got to focus, I think, next week more to get it out in time where there's still some value for the big board, but I have to do it anyway. So for the time we get around to BBM. So it's coming soon. Check out our sponsors too. Unabated 20% off. Again, great betting tools there for NBA in particular. Place every bet 30 minutes before tip-off that they give a 5% or higher sim ROI on, and you'd be up $42,000 this NBA season. It's that simple sometimes. And even more if you place the bets when the projections first come out. Unabated is a great tool made by professional bettors for professional bettors, yet it's simple enough to be able to hop in and get good action. So check it out. If you want to see more about Unabated, check out my Splash Play NBA streams at 4 p.m. every day, Monday to Friday, including later today. And of course, Stochastic, you guys know the deal, 15% off on there, all their sims, all their data. Check it out down below. Another great way to support the show. And really, that's what we're trying to do here. Find a way to make it work. Shouts, I'm not even going to pull up the paying members because I haven't updated it. So shouts to the paying members, though. You guys know who you are. Shouts to all you guys hanging out in the Discord. It's been a lot of fun building that up there. More of you in there, the merrier, because we're trying to make that a real community and somewhere that I can really dive in even when I'm not doing streams. So please check it out. And of course, ignore the Underdog logo here, but can I put my hand over it? Gamble responsibly, even though it is always money time here. Follow me at Chris Spags. Follow this show at Splash Play Pod. Follow the NBA version of it at Splash Play NBA, where there's likely going to be MLB content coming up as well when that season starts. I'll see you guys again soon. So I'll talk to you in the Discord. Enjoy your days. Good luck. Thanks for hanging. Bye-bye.